My agent at that time, John Comerford was the agent, and he called and he said, they're redoing the whole concept of Buck Rogers for the second season. And there's a character called the Hawk, part bird, part man, and they'd like to read you for it. I went to Universal, walked down the hill from the hotel, and for some reason I knew this was mine. I just knew it was mine. The whole idea of it fulfilled every heroic, romantic idea I had about this kind of a character. And I met John. He read with me, and he stopped and he was teary-eyed. We did the death scene together, Corey's death scene, and he said, it's yours, just like that. And that's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to call the agent first and say anything. But he said, I want you. And the rest was just history. I'm in LA, I'm spending time there, I put roots down, and I met Roger Corman. And I auditioned for Roger and Howard Cohn, and it was really, very exciting, because at the same time that we were doing Space Raiders, I got a guest star shot on another television show, plus I was doing a play at the Los Angeles Actors Theater, downtown Los Angeles. So all three were going on at the same time, which is an actor's dream. He's out there.
Loving me.
Somewhere. With Deathstalker, I had already now done, for Roger, Space Raiders, and I had done, in Buenos Aires, Wizards of the Lost Kingdom. Then came a phone call from my agent on the West Coast, and Roger wanted to know if I had a passport and ready to go. He'd like me to do, in Mexico, Deathstalker 3. And I knew the other two Deathstalkers, the previous ones. And I said, sure. And that's how Deathstalker came about. It was all 1, 2, 3. And the nice thing about it was John Allen and I rehearsed all of the fencing on our own prior to going down. John and I knew how the director wanted to do it. John had spoken to him, and he was going to be doing it across the parapets, etc., and culminating at the top of the tower, and Troxartas gets it. And so what John and I did was pace off a fight area in the park on the grass, and we just worked within that. So by the time we got down there, because again, you're fighting time, we brought 75% of the day's labor already in. First take. We examined everything, we rehearsed everything that we had done like a dance step. We knew who was going to parry, who was going to fall against the brick walls. We had not seen it, but we knew that there were parapets, but who knew if the parapets could take us? And John and I worked that all out in Los Angeles before. You go in as prepared as possible and as fully as possible so that you can then just devote to the creativity, the doing with the camera. Now I'm back in New York, the phone rings, and a Spanish accent is on the other end, and he introduces himself as the prop master at the studio. And he said, I understand from the producers that you had requested, if it was possible, a parrying knife, but a long one, a little longer than you would normally have, so that John and I could do 2 swords apiece. And I said, if it was possible, because we've worked out some really wonderful, I thought, choreography together, I described maybe something about 18 inches, 20 inches long on the blade. He said, fine, we'll take care of it. I got to the set in Mexico City. A gentleman comes over to me. It's the gentleman I spoke to on the phone, the prop master. He had made and forged this magnificent parrying knife. It was incredible. I was stunned. We became bosom buddies. Lots of hugging every morning and every night, saying goodbye and hello. He was just beautiful. It was people working very, very hard on a low-budget film, and I'm sure not being paid very much, but committed, you know. That focus was there, that focus of commitment was there. A lot of it was done right in the studio, on the large studio in Mexico City. It was used for the Bond films, and it's an enormous studio. And the larger battle sequences that we did exterior-wise, they had areas around that had desert feel to it, but primarily it was all centered in the studio.
This has nothing to do with being rich.
I put the beats in my own script and I'm sticking with them.
Many people have searched for the treasure city.
Uh-huh, that's nice, dear.
And if the fools ever found it, they couldn't comprehend what they have. Talk, viva!
Ooh, that was impulsive.
Deathstalker, and I feel terrible saying it, is not very good. I think it's insane. But the two jewels, Terry Trees, who played my mistress, and John Allen, were just incredible.
But here I go again, riding hundreds of miles, fighting whole armies up against magic, maybe. In the end, all I'll get is flowers on my head and everyone telling me how wonderful I am.
Shut up!
But there were times we just broke up in a rehearsal. The three of us were just hysterical. And it got very campy. I mean, it was camp, what we said, but you can't avoid it. Don't play camp. Just do what we're doing. I said, Terry and I talked our scenes through, and she's great to work with. We just said, we'll do what the scene demands. Don't add anything, don't take anything away. And it came out, this kind of really ersatz campy thing. It was funny.
When this is complete,
We'll finally get into the
the
bathroom.
world is mine. With this,
The fabric softener will be dispensed at the right.
I'll live forever.
As long as you're not messing up the camera shot, and the director gives you that freedom to try things and improvise, and then do something that might suddenly just happen. I mean, in Deathstalker, both Terry and I are wrapped in blankets, but we were naked underneath them. And we laughed, and at one point, I think I'm yelling at her, and my whole thing just slips off down to my waist, and I'm holding it. She laughs through her line, and it's wonderful.
Well, I guess we're not going to go to bed after all, are we?
When Troxartas sees the captured heroine, it was a great moment because he's in this, I think it was blue, kind of burnous and chiffon and lots of capes. And I remember I pulled my horse up, and it was so great because the director had put the camera near the horse's leg so that when I bend down, I reared up and I come down, and as it comes down, I remember removing this wonderful chiffon. It's a big close-up. I mean, it was great. It was a big close-up, and I say, I'm Troxartas. That's fun. That's great fun to do that. And particularly under those circumstances down there with this kind of strange script.
Thank you! That could be a new outdoor record for sword toss.
And I remember when Troxartas is killed by the Deathstalker, and you see me fall. I fall into somebody's arms, actually, but then we did the pickup of me at the bottom, but it was like in a pigeon pit of some kind. It was really messy, and the sets were dilapidated, and the thing that got us all through all of it was the unified laughter. The crew, the actors, and there was focus. Everyone was professional. It wasn't that, but there was a lot of laughing is what I remember. We just laughed so much.
Get him, man, he kicked Tony!
We said, now come on, we've got to get serious here and think, you know. And I think that helped the script. For whatever merits are in it, it's out of the fact that nothing was over-examined. Nothing was over-planned.
This will be your last night.
We'd like to get a group photo!
Souls will be mine.
I read a review hidden away someplace in, you know, you Google your name. I do Google my name to see what's happening. It was like on the 15th or 16th page, and someone had written this dreadful review, and they said, it's the first fantasy gay wizard.
The stone's what you want, and you're what I want.
My poor Troxartas. It was very funny. It was just very, very funny because it was all campy. We were just, you know, camping around. I mean, we laughed. We just laughed from the first day to the end. I had never, and it has never happened since, where it was perpetual laughter because it was so insane.